Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to set up your very own Discord bot from scratch. Now, before we start this video, it is important that you know at least the basics of JavaScript. Now, speaking of JavaScript, we have to run it somewhere, so we are going to need Node.js. So go to nodejs.org. The long-term support version is what I'd recommend you download. If you're watching this video at a later date where the long-term support version doesn't work, you can always download the latest version. Now, the next thing that we need is a code editor. So head over to code.visualstudio.com and download Visual Studio Code. You can either use this or your favorite code editor. So to get started, let's actually create our bot account. So I shouldn't have closed my browser, but to create our bot account, go to discord.com/developers/applications. Once you're here, usually you'd have no applications. To create an application, just click on new application up here. Now, an application is not your bot. It's basically just like a container for your bot. So what you want to do is you want to give it a name. You want to agree to the terms of service and create your application. Once you create your application, go to the bot section at the left over here. And where it says build a bot, click on add bot and click on yes, do it. Now, as you guys can see, your bot account was created and it was given the name of your application. And if you gave your application an icon, then it would automatically inherit that as well. So before we start, we have to change a few settings actually. First, the public bot, let's take it private because this is a development bot after all, and we don't really want other people to be able to add this to their server. The next thing is these privileged gateway intents. Now, if you don't know what these gateway intents mean, don't worry, just remember the word and I will come back to this in a bit. So just enable all three of these options and click on Save Changes. Now your bot is ready to be invited to your server. And the way you do that is, of course, you'd be given a link. So to generate that link, go to OAuth2 and click on URL generator. And over here, there are a few scopes you can choose from. Most of these we don't really care about, but the ones that we care about is bot and application.commands. The application.commands scope will allow us to use stuff like slash commands and a bunch of other interactions. Now down here, you have your bot permissions. Of course, you can just give your bot whatever permissions you want, but I highly recommend choosing administrator to start with, just so you're not confused when some stuff doesn't work. After that, you will be given a URL. Just copy that. And you can either paste it in a new tab, or what I like to do is go to Discord and paste your link in chat, click on it, click the server to add to, and click continue and authorize it. And you will notice your bot is in the server. And as you guys can see, it's offline. No worries, of course, we're going to take it online in this video, and we're also going to be doing a little bit of message interaction. Basically, we send a message and the bot replies, but it will only reply to the message if it meets a specific requirement. What we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and open up our Visual Studio Code, the code editor that we just downloaded. I actually already have a little bit of a project over here, but we are going to ignore that. Come up here, click on File, Open Folder, and what you want to do is you want to create a folder anywhere you like. I am going to create it in my desktop, and I'm going to name this Discord bot and open up your folder. Once you open up your folder, of course, you have no files initially, but we're going to work on that. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to initialize this folder as what we call an npm project. So the way you can do that is click on terminal and new terminal. And over here, what we want to do is we want to type out a command, which is npm init, which is initialize. And we're going to add a flag of -y. The -y flag will basically say yes to all the default questions that npm asks us. So just click on enter and it generated a package.json file, which is our project information. Now we're going to change one thing, which is the main field. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a source folder before it and do source/index.js, because we're going to be storing our index.js file in a folder called source, which Let's create that right now. In your file tree, you will have this little plus folder icon. Click on that and type out source. And what you want to do is you want to create a new file now. The file is again going to be called index.js, or you can actually call it whatever you guys like, but it's best practice to just call your main entry point index.js. Come back to your terminal, which you can, by the way, click on terminal and click on new terminal, or there's even a shortcut. So basically come back to your terminal and type out the following command: npm install, or you can even use I, which is short for install, and you can type out the package name, which is discord.js. So just hit enter, and inside our index file, we can start working on our bot. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to import a few things from our discord.js library. We are going to destructure, so do const, and we're going to open up an object and do require discord.js. Now this is called destructuring. Basically, you're just importing a set amount of things from something, which in our case is a package. So the things that we're going to import is client and intent bit field. I'm going to explain what intent is. Remember when I said remember the word intent? This is basically what that is, and I am going to explain to you what that is. Client, on the other hand, is going to be our bot. So we need to initialize a new client because, as you guys can see, this is a class. So let's go ahead and create a new client. You can give your client whatever variable name you want. So I'm just going to say const client in all lowercase equals to new client with a capital C, and this class basically takes in an object. And if I do control spacebar, you will see all the things that this client takes in, but it only requires one. The rest are all optional. So we're just going to add intents for now, and this is going to be an array. So just open that up like that. Now what we can do is we can add our intent bit field. We can do that dot flags, and the first intent that we're going to add is called guilds. Now, if you don't understand what intent is, let me explain that to you real quick. Intents are basically a set of permissions that your bot can use in order to get access to a set of events. So what does that mean? Now, actually, I remember there was actually a really good set of docs from Discord themselves. So I'm gonna search up Discord intents, and I believe it was this one. And yes, in the Discord documentation, if you come to the topic of gateway, and you'll notice the list of intents. Basically, over here you'll see that we have a bunch of intents. We have the guild's intent, the guild members intent, the guild band's intent, and yeah, there's a list of intents. And each intent will have a set of events. Now these events will only be accessible to the bot if our bot has explicitly defined this intent. So for the guild's intent that we have defined over here, our bot will have access to all of these events, which means our bot will be able to know when a guild is created, a guild is updated, a guild is deleted, a role inside a guild is updated, created, or deleted. By the way, a guild in Discord development is actually a server, so remember that. Now, once you have a basic idea of what intents are, we can basically add a few more intents to give our bot even more permissions to work with. So we're just going to duplicate that, and in the next intent, I believe, is going to be guild members. So we need to have access to the members who are inside servers. Now the next one is going to be guild messages. Now this is important for what we're going to do in today's video, which is listen to messages. So this is required for today's project. However, we will not be able to read the messages. For that, we need another intent, which is called message content. Again, you can find all of these in the official Discord documentation, and I will actually have a link to this down below. Anyway, this is all the intents that we need for now. And now what we can do is we can actually log into our bot. As you guys remember, the client is our bot instance. So we can call our client and say we can chain a login method. And inside the login, we have to pass in something called token, which is a string. Now, what is a token? Basically, the token is our bot's password. And to get that, you have to go back to your Discord developer portal, go to bot, and scroll back up. And under token, you will see there is a reset token button. Now, in previous versions of this Discord developer portal, when you created a bot, you will be able to see your token whenever you want. But right now, you have to reset your token, and you have to like reset it every time you want to see your token. So as you guys can see, we have to click on reset token, click on yes, do it, and it will show a long string right here. We can copy that and we can paste it inside our login method. Now, as I said before, this is your bot's password. So you want to keep this as safe as possible. After I'm done recording this video, I am going to reset my token, which again, if you have compromised your token, you can always come here and click on reset token, and it will completely stop any instances running on this bot. So anyway, now once we have the login set up, it's pretty much ready to go. We can take our bot online. Let's save the file. And by the way, I have an auto code formatter, which is called Prettier. So let me show you real quick. This is the code formatter that I'm using, and feel free to install it. Now back to our index.js file, we have to run this file now. Now one way we can do that is by coming to our terminal again and typing out node source/index.js. Now that is a good way to run, totally fine. However, whenever we make any changes, we are gonna have to restart that thing over and over again manually. And that is not what we want. In development, we want the bot to restart automatically whenever we have made any changes. So to do that, we're going to use a library called nodemon, and you can use npm to install it. However, we are not going to install it in this project right here. We're going to install it globally. So you can type npm install -g nodemon. The -g flag means global, and it will install it in your computer. If you're on Windows, this command should work just fine. However, if you're on Mac or Linux, you are going to have to add sudo in front and press enter. Now, as I'm on Mac, I'm gonna have to put in my password, and now it's gonna start installing nodemon. I already had nodemon installed, so I don't really think it's gonna make any changes. So yeah, I think there was an update or something, but yeah, it was already installed. Now what we can do is we can type in our terminal nodemon, and this is enough because in our package.json file, we have already declared where our index file is. So nodemon doesn't even need the path to our index file. However, if you did not change it over here, you can always manually define where you want to start the nodemon operation. So we can actually just type in nodemon and press enter. And as you guys can see, it says nodemon starting node source index.js. However, nothing else is coming in the console. And don't worry about that because we haven't actually said to log anything to the console. However, if you go back to Discord now, you will notice our bot is actually online. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really have any commands. However, it is online. That is a good first step. And now what we can do is actually we can log to the console whenever our bot starts, or whenever our bot logs in or is ready to be used. So what we can do now is actually before the client.login, we can add a new event listener. So we can say client.on, and the on is a method which basically has access to a list of events. Now there are many events like channel create, channel delete, errors, message create. This is something we'll use in today's video. And the one that we are looking for right now is called ready. So let's type out ready. And basically what this does is it listens when our bot is ready. Now we can actually write a callback function. Actually, this is meant to be C, as that is more descriptive because C is for client. However, we already have client defined over here, so we cannot redefine by calling this client. So we're just going to call this C. Now, once our bot is ready, we of course want to console log that the bot is ready. So let's do that real quick. So let's type console.log, and we can give it a generic message like the bot is ready, and that would work just fine. So if I save the file, you will notice down in the terminal, it will say the bot is ready, and that works just fine. However, we want a more personalized message, a message that will actually write our bot's name down here. So how we can do that is by using this client instance that we get returned. So let's use a template literal, which will use, I believe these are called tilde. I mean backticks, but the key is called tilde, which is above your tab key. And what you can do is you can type a $sign and open up your curly brackets. And in here, let's use this client instance. So c.user.tag. Now the tag is basically your your bot's username plus its tag. However, if you just want the username to come, you can do .username. Or if you want an ID for some reason, you can also do that .id, and that will log your bot's ID down here. However, in our case, we just want the tag. So c.user.tag is online. And I'll actually use an emoji over here. And I will give it this emoji. And let's save it. Now let's check our console, and it says not under control is online, which is our bot's name. If we check Discord, yes, indeed, it is online. However, it doesn't really do anything. If we send a message like, hey, it doesn't reply. So let's configure that. Under our ready event listener, we can have a new event listener that we talked about earlier. So let's do client.on, and we can listen to a new event, which is message create. Message create. And this event listener will basically be triggered whenever a new message is sent that the bot can see. Now, if we actually remove these two intents, our bot will not be able to listen for the message create event, and this event will not be triggered. So this is why I'm telling you that intents is super important, and make sure you provide the valid ones, because I have actually encountered a lot of problems not providing the valid intents, and I've been debugging for like hours on ends. However, in our case, now we can return a callback function. Up here, we can actually return a message. You can call this whatever you like. Some people like to call it MSG, short for message. However, I like to call it message because that is more descriptive. And what we can do is we can actually console log the message. Let's do that, and let's see what it is like. So I will open up my terminal, and you will see the bot is online now. And what I can do is I can send a message saying hello. Once I send it, I can come back to my terminal, and you will see the message has been logged. Now the type is message. Now I did say I wasn't going to show you the documentation, but I feel like this is going to be helpful for today's video. We can go to discord.js.org, and we can come to the documentation, and I want you to search the thing that is returned, basically, which in our case is message. So type out message up here and go to the first one, and as you see, there are basically a bunch of things that you can access. There are properties. So a message can have stuff like the author, the channel ID that it was sent in, editable basically checks if the message can be edited, the guild, which is the server that the message was sent in, the member, which the person who sent the message, and we have a whole set of things, and this is super helpful. This is why you should read the documentation. It's actually super helpful. Same with methods, and these are like all the methods that you can chain onto your message. So we can have stuff like message.edit, .delete. This is considering the message belongs to the bot. But yeah, there are a whole lot of things that you can do with a message. So anyway, what we are interested in is in the content of the message, which in our case, you guys can see right here, the message content says hello. So let's access that. So we can say console log message.content, and let's save that and let's run our bot again. I will make my terminal a little smaller, and we can go back to Discord, and I can say ping this time. And as you can see, it logs ping. That is true. So let's start and let's actually go ahead and deal with this message. Let's go ahead and start interacting with the user, because that is ultimately what we want to do. What we can do now is actually we can check what the message content is. So we can say stuff like if message.content equals hello. Now we can actually do something with this message. In our case, we can reply to that message by saying message.reply, and we can actually type out whatever we want to reply to the user with. This is pretty straightforward, and I hope you can understand this. And let's just say something like, hey. Let's save it, and our bot is now online. Let's say hello. And the bot replies with hey. So it is working. If I send any other message, it will not reply. However, I do want to show you one thing. Let's say we send hello and the bot replies with hello. Let's save that. Let's wait for the bot to restart. Okay, now let's say we say hello. Now you'll see it says hello, and it starts replying to itself because the bot said hello itself. The bot doesn't really know how to distinguish between a human and a bot. So how we can distinguish, how we can tell the bots to distinguish between them is by checking the user who's sending the message and checking basically if that user is a bot. One way we can do that is before we run any validations, before we run any like message reply, what we can do is we can say if message.author, the property that I showed you earlier, is has the bot property. So the bot property can either be true or false. What we can do is we can say return, because we don't want to do anything else if the author is a bot. So now if I restart the bot by saying nodemon, by the way, I closed down my bot because it would have constantly kept replying to itself. So anyway, now that it's online, we can say hello, and it will reply to us, and it will stop right there. It won't reply to itself like it did up here, because we gave it this condition right here, and it just returned out of this function. So anyway, what can we do next? I actually want to secure the token that we have over here. This is not really a very safe way of having your token. So what we can do is we can open up our terminal by clicking terminal, new terminal, or I just like to use the shortcut. And let's close our bot by doing Control C. And what we want to do is we want to install a new package. So let's type in npm install, and the package is called .env, and this will allow us to set environment variables. You're going to see what that is in a bit. So let's install it. Now the reason why I'm saying this is not safe is because you may want to share your main file. It could be to anybody else, it could be on GitHub. You don't want your token just lying around here. So what you can do now is, with our package installed, you can see in our package.json we have .env. So what we can do with this is we can come to the main directory outside the source folder where our project is initialized. We can create a new file called .env. And inside over here we can store private information like our bot's token. So let's do token equals and go to our index.js and cut this token from here, and I will actually clean this up. And inside our .env we can paste our token, And what you can do now is you can share your file successfully without any like worries of your token getting leaked. And if you are wondering, well, won't the env file get pushed to places like GitHub? Well, you can add a new file called gitignore, and over here you can add the file .env, and this will basically ignore the .env and it won't be pushed to GitHub. Anyway, now you can close out your env file, and what we can do is we can first require our .env. We don't really have to store it in any sort of variable because we just have to call a method called config, and that is it. That literally gives us access to this .env file from anywhere in our code base. So any file that you create, you can pretty much access it just because of this. That's considering you relate those files together. It's kind of hard to explain right now, but yeah, just close the .env, and now what you can do is you can come down here to your login and type out process.env, your variable name, which in our case is token in all uppercase. So .token, and let's save that. Now we can start our bot by typing node-mon. And as you can see, it still works just fine. If we go back to Discord, we type hello, that works. So yeah, this is just a much safer way of storing your token. It's really important actually, because the more you grow your project, the more there's a risk of your token getting leaked because you may have not secured it properly. So I think this is it for today's video. In the next video, I'm going to teach you how to register slash commands like Dino over here. It has a bunch of slash commands that you can use. And yeah, in the next video, we're going to be registering slash commands and hopefully even responding to those slash commands. But yeah, I will see you in the next video. If this video helped you out, please make sure to like it. And if you guys enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.